moment.
Okay, let's just do this whistle again.
Right, rehearsing.
MOFFIE started in 2015 when I was approached by Eric Abraham and Jack Sidey to read the book. We agreed that there was something in the book that we wanted to explore. For me personally, it was an examination of shame amongst a generation of men who were being militarized. My only rule with the producers was that I didn't want to write the script. And so they had a screenwriter attached, and he wrote a draft, and then we hired another screenwriter, and that was a 2-year process. And after the second year, I finally decided that I would give it a bash, and that was the film that we shot. The preparation process for me starts with an extensive visual research process. I have to have tangible textual references. This is a time in South Africa that's quite interestingly documented. It is a personal memory documentation. Most families have photo albums. We are the Kodak generation that would have these emulsified photographs, and that was my first starting point, and that in fact was also the starting point for our director of photography. We all took reference from that, and I have to have this bank of imagery, and once I have this bank of imagery, I kind of refine it and subdivide it, and then I start sharing it with my creative collaborators, and it becomes kind of the backbone. It becomes a sort of Bible. It becomes a reference when we debate about colors, or we debate about vehicles, we debate about costume, we debate about hairstyles, we debate about props. We will go to these references because that's, for me, that's the safest thing, because we're trying to recreate a reality. I mean, I'm very classically trained. I went to a very classical film school. So my training as a director was always about a certain kind of language with actors. It was always about actors being the vessels of something, and that my job as the director is not to tell them what to do, but to kind of create an environment or elements that allow them to react.
One of the best things is to see him direct, but to see in his eyes that he knows exactly what he wants and how to get there.
The thing about Oliver and what makes him so fantastic is he's able to adapt to every single person to help them do it in the way that is most appropriate for them.
When everything was busy, everybody was just running around trying to get everything ready on set, and he came to sit next to me and help me.
I've only ever worked with one director, and I hope they all like this. He gave us a lot of leg room to stretch our legs as performers.
It was part of his idea, his process was to have us become so close, to form our own bonds.
He had so many takes for each scene, like 30 takes, to do one scene. And I enjoyed that so much.
He's got this method where he's just calm and he's asking you a question and he makes you think about something rather than telling you, do this.
And there's not one note that I got that is, I want you to do this. It's always a compromise. It's always, how do you feel? What would your character do?
Just the terminology he uses on set as well, and how he directs you, and how he gets you thinking. It's an absolute pleasure to work with a director like that.
But also, I feel it spoils me as an actor, because going from this to something else, I'm going to be like, where's Oliver?
To work with him is an unbelievable experience.
The greatest hope you can have as a filmmaker by making a film is to pose a question. And so you hope always that your film is a provocation of some kind of challenge to the audience, some kind of story. Your film is a story that you hope the audience will be provoked by in some way, that will either get them to think about the world differently, or to think about themselves differently, or to think about their families or their neighbors. One can never make films as answers, one can only make them as questions, and you hope that your film is a profound and impactful question.